Every time I make one of these types of videos where I read comments, I get two types of comments on this video. The first one is saying, I love this, I wish you would do this more often. The second one is saying, don't give these people any attention, I hope you never post these types of videos again. And at the end of the day, I think the majority of people sort of appreciate me answering these comments, or at least get a laugh out of it. And in today's video, we're going to answer comments on two different videos. So the first one is I'm going to answer a whole bunch of comments from the Blue Eyes Chaos Minimum Dragon, which I just posted, talking about the new Chaos Dragon ritual monster that came out. And I'm going to answer not only bad comments, but also just constructive comments and good comments as well, which is going to kind of mix up the formula from how I usually do this. And then also I thought it'd be kind of fun because it's sort of a big deal, but I'm going to go back to my very first Why Nobody Plays video, which was the Chaos Max one, and pick out some of my favorite comments on that video, because many of them I also saw on this newer video about the new Chaos Max Dragon retrain. Some people said it wasn't a retrain, and that's understandable. I guess it's like an alternate version of it. I don't exactly know what to call it. It's another card that has almost all the same effects and is bad for almost all the same reasons, so I just call it a retrain, but I'm not really sure what the technical term of the new Blue Eyes Chaos Dragon is, but I'm just going to call it a retrain. That doesn't really matter. Anyway, I'm going to look at those comments first, the newest ones first, and then go back to the Chaos Max Dragon video and look at some of those funny comments as well. So anyway, while I am going to talk about some good comments, I want to start off this video with one of the funniest negative comments that I've seen, and I'm going to address something that I think comes up a lot on my videos, especially the Why Nobody Plays videos. So this person said, your comparison is flawed. Masterpiece is everything wrong with modern Yu-Gi-Oh! Boss monsters because it's overloaded and does too much. That card should never have been made. If monsters don't have protection from everything and aren't easily spammable, they aren't good. Everything wrong with current Yu-Gi-Oh! And why meta whores like you, oh man, I'm such a meta whore, resident frog player here, ruin everything. So basically you expect every card in the game to be like Masterpiece, which is a pretty obvious mistake Konami made. Yeah, you are an idiot. Well, that was a very interesting sort of comment that you left there. I get comments like this a lot. People that don't watch any of my videos except one that they stumble upon, and they're just like, oh, this guy talks about modern Yu-Gi-Oh! Therefore he's a meta sheep. Anyone that watches more than like 2 videos on my channel will probably realize I'm quite the opposite. I love playing rogue decks, and I haven't played a meta deck since like 2016, way back in Monarchs and stuff. But anyway, that doesn't super matter, and I think the thing that he's talking about here is when I mentioned that part of the reason that Chaos Max Dragon and Chaos Dragon are bad, by the way, it's like super confusing that there's a card called Chaos Dragon, because every time I say Chaos Dragon, I just think of the Chaos Dragon deck, like with Light Pulsar, but that's besides the point. I mentioned that those cards aren't good because they don't gain advantage, and this will come up later in some other comments as well, but I get comments like this that are just like, oh, you just want every card to be like Masterpiece. Not really. I even think a card like Batteryman Industrial Strength is infinitely better than both Chaos Dragon and Chaos Max Dragon, simply because, once again, it actually gains advantage. I don't think every single boss monster needs to be as ridiculous as Masterpiece. I just need them to be as playable as Batteryman Industrial Strength, and I don't think the bar is set that high. I mean, to be completely honest, Batteryman isn't the best strategy, even though I've played a lot of it, but Industrial Strength is sort of like the minimum of what I think a boss monster should be, because it's easily summonable and it pops cards on the field. Anyway, the next comment is, watch this be a Rainbow Dragon scenario where your whole argument is invalid a week from now. And this is a really interesting comment, because what he's referring to is that when the Rainbow Over Dragon card was revealed, I did a video on it, and then later on that week 3 more cards got revealed, and I don't think this is a entirely accurate sort of analysis of what happened there, because while it is true that Crystal Beast did get more support, none of it really mattered in terms of making Rainbow Over Dragon playable. Sure, we got the new Trap card, and that made the card a little bit better, but in general, Crystal Beast still didn't play either Rainbow Dragon or Rainbow Over Dragon, so I think for the most part, my argument actually still reigns true. The 2 new spell cards that came out for Crystal Beast were just a lot better in a regular Crystal Beast deck than a Rainbow Dragon Crystal Beast deck, therefore the deck didn't change too much. So basically what this guy is pointing out, that there is the possibility for a new Blue Eyes card to sort of get revealed next week, and there actually is a very strong possibility, if not a guarantee, that one will come out eventually, only because on the set that this card was announced in, the Chaos Dragon card, there's another Blue Eyes card on the artwork of the pack, so we'll have to take a look at that when we see it. But I think already we can look at Chaos Dragon, see that it has all the problems that Chaos Max Dragon does, and at least talk about it in some sort of educational way for people that have not seen it. So maybe that will happen. I hope it happens. I hope I'm proved wrong and Chaos Max becomes this deadly force in the metagame. I don't think that'll happen though. The next comment said, "You are not considering the new ritual card searchers that are coming out at the time that this card comes out." I got this comment a ton of times, and all of you guys are perfectly right. I actually did not know. I mean, I mention this a lot, but I don't really read OCG cards, and then that kind of gets confusing because sometimes, every once in a while, I do an analysis video like this one, or not this video that we're currently in, the video on the Chaos Dragon card, and I do those videos, and those are on OCG cards, and usually they're just on decks that I really like, but two cards that I miss were like the Devi ritual cards, and yeah, they're actually pretty neat. You can sort of special summon them from the deck. They search spells and monsters that are rituals. I think they're pretty cool, and I should have researched them. I think that the Chaos Dragon card actually comes out before them because those cards come out in Cybernetic Horizon, I believe, and so there'll still be a little bit of time between the two cards being released, but I should have looked up those cards. I should have mentioned them when I was talking about these cards being consistent. I still don't think those cards are going to fix the Blue Eyes Chaos Max deck or the Blue Eyes Chaos Dragon deck. I don't think that's going to happen, but I definitely should have mentioned them, and I apologize for that because in general, even though I don't talk about OCG stuff, if I am going to talk about something in the OCG that we're about to get, I probably should look up cards that synergize with it that will get around the same time. Next comment says, "I don't like the concept of +1 or -1. Who cares as long as you get a good monster or effect done?" And I get comments like these a lot from people that simply play the game extremely casually, and they just don't like that I always mention card economy in my videos. And here's the thing. Everyone's going to play Yu-Gi-Oh! In their own way. Everyone is a different level of competitiveness, and when I have such a wide audience, especially on the videos that get a lot of views, like more views than I have subscribers, on those videos, it's very likely that I'll have all ranges of sort of the competitive player, the casual player, which makes it really hard for me to effectively make the video appeal to every single watcher, because there are simply people that do not care about any sort of card economy or Yu-Gi-Oh! Just in general. They might play like once a month, and obviously my videos aren't really going to be for them, because I think in those cases, I mean, I'm analyzing the cards from sort of a competitive standpoint, so they might not want to hear about +1 or -1, but I've mentioned this before. I'm not going to sugarcoat things. I think it's worth knowing and teaching about how card advantage works and addressing it as far as each of the cards that I analyze go, because card advantage, not only in Yu-Gi-Oh! But in Pokemon and Hearthstone and Magic and any card game that you're thinking of, it does play a huge role in how cards are good. If there was a monster that had 4,000 attack, but you had to discard 5 cards out of your hand to summon, that would not be very good. I'd much rather have a 2,000 attack monster that I didn't have to discard any cards for, or only had to discard 1 card for. We can't just look at cards, how good they are on the board. You have to look at them in sort of other ways too, like how good they are when you actually draw them or not with the right combo pieces. All that sort of stuff. But I do understand that not everyone plays the game competitively, and I try to mention that in my videos, but sometimes comments like this sort of make their way on the video anyway, just from people that don't like hearing. I mean, I could make a video every single day telling you, yeah, Blue Eyes White Dragon will kill everyone, it'll beat all your opponents, but then I feel like I'm misleading you, so I try to just effectively sort of analyze these cards in a way that is really accurate to how good they actually are. Anyway, the next comment says, "Think you lost to Blue Eyes and Dark Magicians a few too many times, bro." This is another super popular comment. This is probably the most popular comment on all of the Why Nobody Plays videos. They just say, well, you lost this card. That came up a lot on the Magic Cylinder video especially, but yeah, this is a comment that I get a lot, and I think it's really stupid. I think of all the dumb comments you can leave on sort of those videos, this is like the absolute dumbest comment, because you can use this to sort of deflect any analysis. You can just say, you just hate this card because you lost to it, or you want other people to not play the card so you stop losing to it. And it's like, if you just answer that to everything, I mean, yeah, you're gonna you can sort of deflect the situation. You can make it, because at this point, when comments like this happen, what do I respond? No, I haven't lost to them. And then they'll respond, oh yeah, prove it. And it's like, I guess I didn't keep a record of all the games that I played. But yeah, these comments are like my least favorite, because nothing really constructive comes out of them, and they're just super dumb. I mean, you guys have seen these, you've probably seen me complain about them before, but these types of comments are the absolute worst ones to actually come across, because they don't really say anything. They just kind of say, your video's invalid entirely just because, oh, you probably lost to this, even though they don't don't know what they're talking about. The next person says, I think we should see the card in action before we judge it. Also, raw power is what Blue Eyes Dragons are all about, plus adding 3 more ritual monsters may actually fix the deck's consistency issues. Only time will show. Well, luckily, we don't actually have to see this card in action, the new Chaos Dragon card, because it's basically Chaos Max Dragon, just with a few extra bells and whistles. But in general, they're pretty much the same card, and they fill the same role, which means that we already know how good this card is. And I think while it is worth saying, as I said in the video, that Blue Eyes are all about raw power, like I said in that video, versatility matters a lot, consistency matters a lot. This card doesn't really help either of those, and I think that, I don't know why you think adding 3 ritual monsters to the deck will fix the consistency issues. If anything, it'll make more bricks in the deck. You'll open even more ritual monsters without a ritual spell, or you'll open like 4 ritual monsters and 1 ritual spell, and it's like, okay, well now I have 3 dead cards in my hand. I don't think this card will fix the consistency issues. I don't even think it makes the Blue Eyes deck much more powerful. I think it's just kind of a do-nothing ritual card, very much along the same lines as Chaos Max Dragon. The last comment from the Chaos Dragon video is he forgetting that they're both searchable with Melody? No, I did not, and I specifically mentioned it, and the reason that I remembered it this time is because in the original Chaos Max Dragon video, I did forget that, and I didn't mention it in the video. I also forgot to mention that Advanced Ritual Art is like one of the most popular options to summon the card, or I don't think I said it explicitly, but I put it like as a card image in the video when I was talking about it, and one of the things that Why Nobody Plays video ended up teaching me, which was incredibly valuable, is that when I make those videos and when they're going to get watched by like 100,000 people, I have to make sure that every single word of that video is perfect and flawless in terms of rulings, in terms of strategy, in terms of all those things, because I know that they're going to be scrutinized by the people that disagree with my opinion. Anyway, though, let's move on to some of the Chaos Max Dragon sort of talking points. These comments were pretty funny. I was kind of rapid fire them. So these 3 were right in a row just when I went on the video, and I think they're all hilarious for different reasons. So the first one says, Chaos Max still looks cool, so I have enough reason to use it. Okay, that makes sense to me. You missed the whole point of the duel. You wouldn't have lasted in the early years of dueling. What does that even mean? If anything, that's like the opposite, because card advantage mattered even more in the early years of dueling. I have a feeling this guy was not very successful in the early years of dueling either. Maybe he was really good on his lunchroom table, but probably not much else. And then the last comment says, I play both Chaos Max and Pure Blue Eyes, but I know one guy who plays Blue Eyes, and he's not a competitive player, and 4 other guys who use Chaos Max, but 2 of them are competitive players. And basically what he's trying to say is that of the people that he knows that play Blue Eyes, the competitive ones are the ones playing Chaos Max. Now, I can say with almost 100% certainty that this player is extremely, extremely casual, and the players that he thinks are competitive players are just normal casual players, and that sort of warped, the whole perspective of where he is versus where they are, even though they're probably not very competitive, I think is really interesting. I think it's incredibly unlikely that 2 competitive players, 2 actually competitive players, are using Chaos Max Dragon, but I just thought that anecdotal evidence was funny, just in general, to be completely honest. Another comment said, I am the Chaos Master, that's all I have to say, I will challenge anyone. And I get a lot of comments like this too. People say, okay, you made fun of this card, now I'm gonna play it and I'm gonna beat you. I think they're hilarious because obviously I don't care, like I'm not gonna play you on, let me just pull up Dueling Book and challenge you on there so that you can, like, what happens if I beat them? They say I cheated or I used meta, even though I was playing something like totally off meta. If they win, they just spam me forever. There's no winning the situations, so obviously I don't respond to them, but they're just funny because they come up so often. People are just like so ready. They're just like, if I beat you one time with this card, it'll prove you wrong. And obviously it's not true, because I'm talking about winning the most games, not winning a game. Because Chaos Max will win you a game. A lot of the cards I talk about will win you some games. They just won't win you the most games. I think that's a phrase I've used a lot of times, but it rings true for a lot of things. And anyway, the very last comment, oh man, this is a doozy. I'm not going to read this entire thing, but I will put the whole thing on the screen. And I wanted to mention this one because I saw this these types of comments on the Chaos Dragon video as well. So the very first line here is, it's a tool, don't just base your deck around it. And then he goes on to say like a whole bunch of other stuff that I don't super care about. This is something that I see constantly, people saying, well, don't build your deck around Chaos Max Dragon, just have it as an option. The problem is that the more you make Chaos Max Dragon an option, in quotation marks, the less consistent it gets. Like, what are you going to do? You're just going to play 1 Chaos Max Dragon and 1 Advanced Ritual Art. I mean, that seems horrible, because the problem is that you don't have any good ways to search the ritual spells outside of Manju, because as we've said 100 times, you can't use pre-preparation of rites in this text. So to play Manju, you're going to have to play a couple copies of the ritual spells, and then you're playing a couple copies of the Manjus, and then at that point you might as well play like 2 Chaos Max Dragon, and then eventually gets to a point where the smallest Chaos Max engine is like 10 cards. And I know this because I've tried to splash Chaos Max Dragon into like the invoked variant of Blue Eyes, which is like the objectively best variant of Blue Eyes, and it just doesn't work because it's too many cards. You pretty much have to play 2 Chaos Max Dragon, at least 1 Chaos Form, at least 1 Advanced Ritual Art, and then at least 2 Manju, and that's already 6 cards. But really, you're going to want to play more, because you're going to want to probably play 2 of each of the ritual spells and 3 Manju just to make sure you see them. And even with all that stuff, it just makes your deck a quarter Chaos Max, and I don't think that counts as an option anymore. An option is when you have like a one of that you can search whenever you need it. But Chaos Max, because it's a ritual monster, because the ritual summoning mechanic is inherently broken, it simply doesn't work as sort of a quote-unquote option, and just in general, ritual monsters don't work like that. Now, maybe in another ritual deck, it could be an option, like if you were playing Necros, but even then, I don't think it's worth it, because any deck that's consistent enough to play Chaos Max as an option is probably better without the Chaos Max, just as a general statement. Anyway, though, now that we have sort of sat here, unloaded a bunch of these comments, I think I'm going to end the video. Hopefully you guys learned something from me answering these wonderful comments. And yeah, these ones weren't that bad. Like, to be completely honest, compared to a lot of the Why Nobody Plays videos comments, the Chaos Dragon video didn't get that many negative comments, but I thought the ones that it got were pretty funny. A lot of people really, really want to defend these Blue Eyes ritual monsters, despite them being terrible. Anyway, I will see you guys later. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Goodbye.